Yeah.
Okay, so so you're trading SBLCs, I get that. What are you looking for? Is your objective to meet more legitimate issuers, monetizers, or just do everything yourself, the issuing, the monetizing yourself?
Well, I've got my own relationships with issuers, and I've got my own relationships with monetizers as a trader, and I enjoy it. I would be foolish to say that I wouldn't be open to meet more. Very, very foolish. Who wouldn't?
Sure.
As long as they're real. But that's the key word.
Yes.
Who's real and who's transparent? There are so many offers that I get, from intermediaries all over the world, every week, every month. I had one the other week, HSBC London, so-called SBLC issuer, Section 9. They want all my money up front before the 760, and I'm like, yeah, nice try.
Nice.
Got it.
I wasn't born yesterday.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you our process, which is, by the way, on YouTube. And our process is we do a background check on everybody using a former FBI or former CIA person. And people we use, like our FBI guy was the head of the white collar crime division of FBI in Los Angeles. So when I reach out to him, like private placement programs or SBLC, it was not like I didn't have to educate him on what these things are. Like, you know exactly what the hell I was talking about, like all that stuff. So it's a very specialized area of, we'll do background checking like that. And if you ask Russ, like, I don't know a day where he's not working on either with one of our lawyers or clients on doing background checking. So volume background checking we do with an FBI guy is like, it's gone to so much that we now outsource it to a former CIA guy as well. So that's the work we do on background checking. So that's step one. Step two is that it's not one out of 100 issuers or monetizers that pass. It's more like 1 out of 10,000 that will pass.
Yeah.
From there, it goes to a securities attorney, and the security attorney does things that the FBI guys, I wouldn't know what to do. And I can give you stories and stories of what the securities attorneys have done that the FBI guy or CIA guy missed.
Yeah.
Now comes part three. Part three is, and Russ can testify to this, we get on this thing called the aeroplane. And we find where the trader is, the issuer as a monetizer is, as Russ. And we meet them face to face, eye to eye. Like before we actually do a buy and sell, we fly down to Europe to meet the issuer for coffee. Or we fly down to wherever else we need to fly down to meet the monetizer. And this is after they've been passed through our due diligence. So that's a 3-step process that I have, that I find that our competitors wouldn't, I don't know, they either don't have the financial resources to do it, or they don't have the mindset to do it. And our clients spend a lot of money. We charge a lot of money to our clients because of our due diligence process alone. Which is I think it's very unique. And so that's our process. I can tell you every issuer and monetizer that I work with loves the fact that we do that. We are now at a point where when we tell the monetizer, hey, I have a call with a client, the first question they ask us is, I'm sure you've done the FBI background check. Can you give me the background check of the FBI guy so that I know who I'm talking to? So that piece of it is really cool. Yeah, and if we can work with you, we have a lot of projects right now where we would love to work with you for sure. And if there's a way to do it your way of the driver's seat, we welcome doing that as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's, the only way to safeguard your own relationships, I find in this business is just to do it in a very transparent manner. You just have to have that front row seat, and that's why I suggested, why don't we just buy a new company off the shelf with my accountants in Switzerland, out of Zug. I say Zug for obvious reasons, because it's the lowest, or one of the lowest for corporation taxes. There's no issue in foreign ownership at all. It can come with a UBS bank account, in Zurich, already established. Saves us about 2 months of time. And
and by the
yeah,
way, can you, you don't have a camera, so you cannot see me. Am I correct to say that?
no, I can see. Yeah, I can see.
Okay, great. So I just wanted to share something else for you, just for entertainment purposes, if I may. Russ knows about this, so like that. So this is yesterday at 3:21 p.m. I don't know if you can see the time for this.
Yes.
And so I'm just going to share with you this document. Give me 1 second. I have to stop and the way that. So this is us, Alphonse Global, working with a company that helps us buy companies that issue SBLCs or monetizes SBLCs. And so what you're telling me is like, it's not new to me. You know what I mean? Like what you're saying perfectly. Like this is, guess what we're doing or how we're doing it. So I feel like we both belong to the same Christian church, if I can say that way.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know where to show you that says that the company can issue or monetize SBLCs, but you just have to trust me that that's what this company does. I think it's in the services section. So to buy a company in partnership with you or your accountant would be something that I would be more than happy to do. For sure.
William, yeah, well, it's the only way to do it, I think, in this business. You know, there's no smoke.
Sorry,
no smoke or mirror.
There we go. Assistance with the deal. So we're buying a company out of, I apologize, I can't remember exactly where it is. I think it's a UK-based company that's a trade finance company, and it can issue SBLCs. And I don't know where to find it, but I just want to tell you we're actually in the process of doing that. So if we could do that with you, that would be great. So how much money do we need to have to buy a company with you and then get a lease or purchase SBLC and monetize it with you?
So I think the basic fees, you need a Swiss nominee director in Switzerland to have a corporate account, which I'm sure you know already.
Yeah.
They charge on average about 8,000 Swiss francs a year just for the Swiss nominee director. And I think with my accountants, from my research from multiple companies that I've worked with and contacted with in the past, they can give me a Zug registered company that's like 4 years old or something, clean, no tax issues, no legal issues, no nothing. It comes with a legal warranty, and I think it was around 19,000 Swiss francs plus the 8,000 for the Swiss nominee director, and that includes then the first year's registered office with the accountants, and then after that, once you're away, whatever funds that you're doing for whatever business purposes, and that would also be a company that's registered as a type of like a finance or holding company. The rule of thumb is that the older the company that you buy, the more expensive it gets. I have seen companies for like 89,000 Swiss francs recently.
No, I understand. Okay, so let's say we pay you or not pay you, pay whoever we need to pay.
It's it would only go to the
27,000 Swiss francs. So us buys us a company and director for a year. So now for leasing the SBLC to be monetized, how much money do we need to have for that?
Well, if it depends what type of how you want to structure the type of trade. If you're going to bring in a leased instrument from one of your providers to capitalize the company, then we can get that monetized with my monetizers. That's fine. If you want to use your monetizers and just get it monetized internally and then put the cash into the new Swiss company for me to start the trading, again, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. That's no problem at all. You know, ideally, um,
Can I do this? If we're partners, this is what I would recommend or suggest. Right now, my bottleneck is on the issuer, not on the monetizer. In fact, one of the issuers I work with, 3 weeks ago, his term to me was, Taimour, I'm not a freaking McDonald's here. Nobody has ever said, Taimour, I'm not freaking it's not the we're not right McDonald's, you know? It's like every week I was calling him, can you this, can you that, can you? It's like, I'm not a McDonald's. So if I can work with your issuer, that would be awesome. And then if
sure.
you want, and then I want to contribute. If we're partners, then I want to contribute, and I can bring in the monetizer.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine.
And then as I close with my issuers, then the transaction after that, maybe I can bring the issuer, you can bring the monetizer, or my preference would be if you already have the issuer and the monetizer and they already have a relationship with each other, that's the easiest one that I've ever seen, when the issuer and the monetizer have relationships with each other. So if you have that, then I'd love to do that as well. And then you said then you want to put it into trade, which means a private placement program. Am I correct to say that?
I don't really like that term, I'll be honest.
Sure.
I just know what I'm buying and I know what I'm selling it for. You know, if I was buying and selling lollipops, I know my purchase price and I know my exit. I personally don't like the term private placement program because I'm not issuing a bond, you know, linked to a private placement memorandum on the NASDAQ stock exchange or doing an IPO, you know.
Got it.
So yeah, I for me, you know, we're just buying and selling a product. It would be, we would sign a 18-page shareholders agreement outlining everything that we've discussed. There would be restrictions on the account, stating that basically no one can go to the casino with the money. It's only used for one purpose, to buy and sell A-rated SBLCs for mutual project funding purposes. You know, you have to be very, very, very careful how you term things in Switzerland. You know, as I said before, you're either doing it as business partners with shareholders with private loan agreements, you know, or you then have to go the full whack and you'll have to trump up anywhere between 1 million and 3 million cash to buy an existing licensed portfolio services management company or a licensed asset management company over there. You know, so, but I mean, at the end of the day, if you can, not being funny, but you only need to bring in and monetize one instrument, right?
Right.
You don't need billions in this business to start. You really don't. If we could monetize an instrument, get a net LTV amount after fees and commissions or whatever, that has to be paid to any third party, of at least 100M, you know, then you're at the table. You can then really get your teeth into securing a good discount price on a much larger contract that you want to tranche through over the next 12 months. That's why I don't believe these people who say that they can do a tranche every day. It takes me 12 to 14 banking days to complete 2 799s and a 760 between two banks to actually get them authenticated. Yeah.
Right.
So all these traders who say, oh, I can do profits per day, I'm like, prove it. Unless you're doing forex trading at an insanely high risky amount. Even when I was doing forex trading, right, the traders I used to teach, they were doing like 40, 50 trades a day, very emotional, blowing their accounts left, right, and center, blowing these prop firm challenges that they used to do with FTMO and all these other companies. And I was doing 5 trades a week. because I used to sit there in front of 4 screens and just watch the market 14 hours a day, waiting for those 5 safe trading opportunities. But it took me over 10 years to learn that patience and that discipline. You know, so this business can be enjoyable if you just keep it simple.
They're the ones having heart attacks and falling over or dying because they just can't, your heart can't take that. It's like too much stress.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
So,
yeah, I mean,
for these SBLC or purchase SBLC, how much money do I need to give you or put in an escrow account?
I don't like escrows. I'll be honest. Well, this is myself as a trader, because I just don't trust many lawyers, especially if they're American. I've just seen far too many horror stories. Look, at the end of the day, I think if you're wanting to work with a leased instrument provider that I bring to your table, I would recommend, if you're going to go and put funds in escrow, which will probably be the required format, as it would be a new relationship between you and them, I would recommend you using your own lawyer and not theirs. And that would be number one. Number two, I'd recommend that funds aren't released in any contracts until a 760 is actually being authenticated by either your monetizer or mine. You know, whatever you want to do is absolutely fine with me. So yeah, just to protect yourself from that perspective. Most leased instrument providers sort of charge anywhere from 15% and up. You know, it just depends on the face value and the sort of issuing bank. Some charge as low as 10 or 12, but you know, at the end of the day, it's all about performance. But the ones that I work with issue out of Barclays London, HSBC London, BNP Paribas. They issue out of those 3 banks on the leased side. Yeah.
Got it. So I need to have 15% of that money in an escrow account upon the instrument being verified from the monetizer. My money then has to be sent to the issuer. I get that completely. So now let's say my monetizer comes in and does a monetizer at 80% LTV. I'm just making this up.
Yeah.
That 80% goes to our JV that we have with you, and then you put it into a trade. And we're not going to call it private placement program because you don't like the term private placement program. We're going to call it buying and selling bananas, candies, and toys.
Correct.
Okay, cool. What are the expected returns on average?
Oh, you could make at least anywhere from, you know, 50 cents to 75 cents profit, you know, easily per month, you know.
So let's say 15%. So let's say I put up, I'm just making this up, for $100 million SBLC, 15% would be $50 million.
Yeah.
So I put up $50 million with a lawyer. The instrument gets sent from your issuer to our monetizer, fine. And let's say the monetizer does 80% LTV. So let me just figure out the math here, if I may. So 80% minus 15 is 65% of $100 million. So 100 million. What is my math? 100 million. So we're going to get $65 million after net, less than net. And then you saying is 50 cents per month. So it's 50% of that would be $32.5 million per month is what it would generate.
I was actually joking with you when I said 50 cents. It's yeah, look, when it comes to trading profit, I would say there's a huge difference now when you're talking about setting out the tranche schedule over 12 months. There's a huge difference with withdrawing profits on a monthly basis, or compounding. Compounding things get very, 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 very interesting when you can tranche at a much higher face value. Myself as a trader, when I'm buying and selling my instruments, if I'm not making more than 200% gross profit a month, I'd be very disappointed. That would be my minimum threshold that I would look to do. And when you can compound your profits for the following months to come, that's when things get very, very interesting and can ramp up quite quickly. But you've got to really agree that tranche schedule from month 1, week 1, what months you want to withdraw any profits or investments, what months you want to compound, and roll those through.
What compounding strategy do you use, William?
Well, every client I've ever traded for is different. I've had some clients say to me, I need the profits every month because I've got these projects I need to finance. They tend to put themselves under a lot of stress. They sometimes take on projects that are far, financially, in my opinion, far too big than what they should be. But that's their decision. Some clients have said to me, I just need the profits from the first month, and then I want you to compound the rest of the next 12 months. As a 50% JV partner, as a trader myself, it's in my interest to compound, because the higher the face value that I can trade and tranche at, it's a much bigger reward for myself as well as the client. So there's flexibility there, you know, but whenever
forget about your clients, if it was your personal way, you were just doing this for yourself, what strategy do you deploy for yourself over a 12-month window?
If it was just for myself, knowing the world climate that we're living in today and the threat of central bank digital currencies looming over our head between now and the year 2030, I'd be compounding the shit out of my money if it was just me. And I would be focusing on doing as much trading as I can during the rest of 2023 until the first half of 2024. As a trader myself, I am retiring in 18 months from now. I will not be trading for anybody in 18 months from now, no matter how much money people offer me.
Why is that?
Because I don't want to be a statistic where I'm in the middle of tranching, you know, a $5 billion contract for somebody, and then suddenly that bank has collapsed. You know, nobody could see, in the public domain anyway, the collapse of Credit Suisse, but their traders screwed up over $580 billion worth, and got bought out for just $3 billion by UBS. We saw it coming as traders. We get access to a lot of sensitive account information and see what's going on. 5 other banks have collapsed in the US. American banks on US accounts alone are $200 trillion in debt on toxic derivatives right now, and that's just on US accounts. So yeah, you know, I just I would much rather in 18 months myself just take my bow center stage, shake hands with everyone that I've helped and made a lot of money for, and just retire. That's my plan. and then I'm just going to be waiting and seeing what happens on the central bank digital space, because I just don't know what it's going to look like. It's a very major unknown factor. I look at other countries like Lebanon and Nigeria as templates with what they've done to their people and their banks. In Lebanon alone, they stole $120 billion of people's savings, just wiped out, gone within a week. Nigeria, they starved their people for 3.5 months and said you can only have access to $44 a week, when the average Nigerian needs $40 a day just to live. Before they did that, only 0.5% of the population were using their central bank digital currency. After they caused mass panic, hysteria, riots and looting and everything else for 3.5 months, now over 65% of the population use their central bank digital currency. But my point is, it's in investment banking, it's quite easy to become a multi-billionaire. But the trick is being careful with what you do with it and what banks you choose to establish those relationships with and where you choose to invest. You don't want all your eggs in one basket. You don't want to have exposure to banks globally that could easily collapse. I've got access to sensitive information, for example, on HSBC. I've known about it for a long time. If the media knew certain things that we as traders know, there would be a run on the bank tomorrow. They are borrowing money from Peter to pay Paul.
So in 18 months, we could term it that you're retiring out of the old system. You're then going to observe the new system to then wait, like you waited with your 5 trades a week instead of 40 trades a day. You're going to be patient. You're going to wait for the lay of the land, and then you're going to make a move, if you make a move.
Yes, correct.
What are you going to do with your personal funds once you retire? Where are you going to put those?
Mainly hidden in a lot of banks that you've never even heard of, that have been going since 1770, 1805, little private niche banks in Switzerland. At least 25% of it in gold assets. Gold will definitely be going to $3,800 an ounce. Just and my Elliott wave analysis long term had that pegged over a year ago. It will break and hold way above the all-time high of $2,070 an ounce easily. The Swiss franc currency is a safe currency to hold any corporate accounts or cash in my opinion, because under the laws of Switzerland, they need a national referendum where every single citizen has to vote to adopt a central bank digital currency, and they're not going to do that. They're never going to do that. The euro won't be there, the pound won't be there, the US dollar won't be there. The bond market will collapse. I believe the crypto market will collapse with it, because whether the inventors of Bitcoin wanted this or not, but if you actually look at the charts, every time the NASDAQ goes down, guess which way Bitcoin goes down? Follows the NASDAQ, bar for bar, line for line, and it's not what they wanted. So when those stock markets bleed for so many months, so will the crypto industry. And then the dust, once it's settled, then you'll be able to see the lay of the land and where to invest and put your money to make smarter decisions. I have investments that I'm committed to in a big way with 2 renewable energy companies. We're looking at my investments are on the ground up. We've got secured government contracts for a private hybrid jet plane We also own a company that's got the biggest contract at Heathrow Airport for the electrical pods. And we're expanding that as we speak. And then I'd just be looking to exit those investments in 5 to 10 years time from now for about 100 times more than what I invested in. I own 70% of those companies. So, and they're all managed by fantastic people with PhDs and 30 years of experience, 20 years of experience with this and that. And, you know, absolutely brilliant. I've got a fantastic managing director who works for me to oversee my investments whilst I do this business. So I'm happy to support that industry in the UK. That's my own personal plan. But
that's really great, William. Sorry, can I just want to go back to a transaction we can do right now so that we can help this vision of yours come through, if I may?
Sure.
So as I understand, you can get a lease SBLC from your issuer. I can bring the monetizer, or you can bring the monetizer, and then the returns you said would be 200% from the net proceeds. And then I'm going to assume you want to take 50% of the net proceeds, and then the other net is ours to keep.
That's correct. Yeah.
And how soon can your issuers, let's say I have the money right now, I'm going to wire to you right now, or contracts got signed, whatever, right now. How soon can your issuer issue the instrument?
Well, I spoke with one today, and he's doing one for another client, and he's sending me the pre-advice on Monday. So on average 3 banking days from engagement, you know, is quite straightforward. But I would assume that would be after contracts have been signed and funds are in your appointed escrow lawyer that you're comfortable with. So yeah,
perfect.
I reckon, you know, a couple of weeks, you know, from start to finish, you're going to do your due diligence, you know, on the provider. But if I give my recommendation to them about you, then I think they'll take it very seriously.
I love it. I love it. Thank you. So can we do 2 things in parallel, or do you prefer to do step by step? In parallel would be, we work with you and your accountant to find a company that's for sale. That would be around 19,000 francs, 8,000 for the Swiss 90%.
Yeah.
And then in parallel to that, we have money in an attorney's escrow account right now that helps us get SBLCs, monetizes SBLCs like that. And what I'd love to do is to maybe get a contract from you. I don't know what I need to get from you, because we have the money right now ready to go to get a SBLC. And if I need to bring the trader, I'm happy to do so. If you want to bring the trader, that's fine too. But I'm interested in a mutual relationship, because I know you have your established issuers and monetizers, and we have our own established issuers and monetizers. So I don't mind, in spirit of partnership and good faith, to share that with you. That's not an issue for me at all. And I'm thinking we have an 18 months relationship. So there's a deadline to our relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you know, I'm just being honest and transparent. You know, I it's easy to say, oh, you know, you can keep trading, but you know, you just, how much is enough?
Sure.
You know?
So what's the next step?
Well, the next step is I can introduce you to my accountants in Zurich, and then they can provide you a confidential list of companies that they've got themselves. Okay. They do have companies I know listed on their website, but my recommendation would be to ignore those, because you really want a company that's got the that's registered in Zug with a UBS bank account. That's really, really important. because that even it's very easy to buy a company, but the banking compliance process with UBS in Switzerland is 3 weeks. Yeah, so that will save you.
Why must it have a UBS bank account, if I may ask?
It's really, for me, the safest and strongest bank in Switzerland. What a lot of people, what they don't actually know about UBS is they don't disclose the account balances of their trust accounts by law.
Got it. I love it.
If they did, they would not just be ranked 21 in the world, they would be ranked #1 easily. There is trillions and trillions and trillions on the UBS trust accounts, and they are one of the strongest banks and most powerful banks, in my opinion, a lot stronger than the banks in London.
Got it. Okay, good. So that's one next step. What's the other next step? Do I need to give you a CIS, proof of funds, to get a SBLC contract issued? Like, how do I do that? What's the next parallel step to that?
Yeah, all I would need is just a basic 3-page CIS passport copy, and if you've got an internet banking screenshot from your escrow lawyer where you've got the funds, that's fine. Contract doesn't come from me at all, because I'm not the provider. I'll just introduce you directly to the provider, that's fine, and give them my recommendation on you. We would I can then start working with my lawyers on the shareholders agreement. They're normally about 18 pages long, just to outline everything that we've agreed going forward, and the setup of the company and the restrictions and everything, and the bank that we're going to be choosing. It's all has to be listed in there. Any directors you want me to list on this company, I will need their individual CIS and passports, please, as well. I will need I need your passport for the Swiss company. We will need those passport copies notarized with your driving license and a recent proof of address, a gas bill, phone bill, bank statement that has to be recently notarized.
So you need my CIS, proof of funds, and what else?
Yes, as well for the Swiss company. It will passport copy, your CIS, your driving license, and a recent proof of address, stamped and signed with a wet ink signature by a notary. That's very, very important for Switzerland.
And
to get
William,
as a shareholder and as a director.
Yep. William, who are we going to communicate with? Will it be via your email address, or do you have an executive, or how do we get timely communication happening with our two entities?
Yeah, you can use my email address. That's absolutely fine. That's no problem at all.
And what is your email address?
I'll give you my my main corporate one is so it's W Morris, MORRIS, at intraday INT.
I apologize. I just had to go. Can you say that? Start again. Your email is what?
Yeah, it's W Morris at intraday INTRADAY, and then it's -group.com.
Perfect. And then there is Mrs. Pro. Is that your name? I apologize.
Liz.
It's Alfred. Yeah, Liz.
Liz, how do you get compensated? Do we get a contract from you as well?
No, Liz is being compensated by William in this relationship.
That's correct.
Okay, got it. Okay, perfect, great. If you guys want us to sign any NDA and CA agreements, more than happy to do so. Like anything that I'm happy to do so.
So William, I've got a quick question, if I may.
Sure.
So we get this initial trade done, and then our joint entity has funds to move into that 12-month tranche.
Yeah.
What happens when we have new funds to introduce during that 12-month period? And knowing we've got the 18-month window, are we able to bring more in? So we'll have isolated investments going on. So we'll have, the original investment trade going on with you. And then we'll have number 2, and then number 3, and then number 4, knowing they've only got X amount of months to proceed.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, you must be very, very conscious of Swiss banking law and the regulations. So if you wanted to basically trade funds or assets for a third party, you would have to legally give them one share and get them to sign a legal shareholders loan to the company, and they would have to transfer their funds over. At any point, if you had selected clients that you wanted to do that for, that's fine. If they didn't want to move their money over for whatever reason, then you would either be looking at them issuing an SBLC that we have to monetize, or if they, I'm just not a fan of block funds. I'm really not. Most banks don't like doing it. They're block funds to then issue an SBLC, but they just won't block funds and then want to communicate that necessarily in the traditional methods that people promote. They always like really, a valid contract or a valid reason. Banks most banks are a pain in the ass to work with when it comes to things like that these days, because they don't, at the end of the day, they don't want to lose the assets off their books, right?
So it sounds like to me there's a phase 1, which is getting the entity set up, and then getting the first instrument issued and the proceeds going into a 12-month tranche with you. Then phase 3, if you're open to it, I'd like to, once you see that we're real and we're doing what you're asking us to do, I'd like to be able to have a strategy session with you for me to explain what we've got available to us. And we know we've now got an 18-month window, and then for you to say, okay, this is what I propose that we should do with those funds or those clients or whatever. Now, the answer may be you don't want any of it. It's just going to be us getting in and off we go, and that's fine. But I'd rather know where we stand so that we can then build the plans that you're comfortable with and we're all happy with, and then we all know what the path forward is.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, more than happy to do that overview with you. More than happy. I would just ask just to have a clear picture in your status report list of every single client as to what these clients are actually willing to do.
Sure, I understand. I apologize. I'm actually 10 minutes late for another call. Can I ask you and Russ and Ms. Payne to continue this conversation? And William, I'd love to continue our conversation on relationship. I'll go to work at sending you all the paperwork you need as soon as possible.
Yeah, perfect.